All right, started.
Okay. Tapped a new window. Share screen. Host disabled participants. Oh, can I be a host?
Oh, okay. Once. All right, try share now.
Whoops, wrong button. All right, so hello, yeah, welcome. This is the Kubernetes SIG Storage Volume Populators weekly meeting. We are 2 days from the enhancements freeze, and the good news is Tim has reviewed the split KEP again and offered his comments, and he still seems happy with them, but he still has this nervousness about the backwards compatibility breaking part of the change, and so he pulled in I want to say Jordan. Let me open up this KEP so we can look at it together. Yeah, it's this case. So I don't know if Jordan is going to respond, or if not, what we can do. Um, I guess I wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page about this case. Saad, you in particular, the backwards incompatibility,
Yeah.
backwards incompatible change with the data source. Have you read Tim's concern here, and do you share his anxiety?
I do share his anxiety in terms of anytime you make a change in terms of behavior that's been around for a while, there's probably someone, whether they should be dependent on it or not, that is dependent on it.
Yeah.
We found that out when we did the read-only secret change. And sometimes you just have to make the change. I think it'd be interesting to get Jordan's feedback on it as well.
Well, yeah, I'm wondering, is your stance that that we should just do this because the risk is small enough, or should we be saying no, let's be more cautious and try to do something other than this?
I think the risk is there, but the cost of fixing it is pretty low, and so
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
And that was the argument I made, and Tim responded to that saying that like that it doesn't matter. He says simple fixes do not
Interesting.
justify breaking changes, unfortunately. So yeah, I don't know, like if we should just be pushing to say no, the risk is small, no, there's no way anyone could be depending on this, let's just do it, or if we should take a step back and say, well, we really want to be extra conservative here, and therefore we'll, I don't know, put a feature gate around this, or some, he had said what was it, one of Jordan's, I'm sorry, one of Tim's comments was about adding an example kubectl command. Where was it? Why can't I find it now? Oh, here it is. If when this goes in, we should publish a kubectl get command that prints any instances of, I guess, the a list of all the PVCs that would tickle this problem. Oh, but the problem with that, I think he made that suggestion before, and the issue is by the time it's inside Kubernetes API, it's already been erased, right? That was the reason
Right.
you can't go look at existing clusters and see who's depending on its functionalities, because if anyone ever depended on it, the dependency got erased the moment they created the PVC. So yeah, we seem to be stuck in this sense of like, we think the risk is small, but we don't know if it's close enough to zero that we can just go with it.
What's
And
the drawback if we end up not this change doesn't get approved?
yeah, I think it means that basically instead of just removing the, so here, let me pull up the code that implements this. Open link. No, that's not that one. It's the other one. if we don't implement this, then instead of just removing these 313 lines, we have to go in and carefully change them to behave differently. So that for core data types, it continues to erase it and allow the PVC, but for non-core ones, it would start going through the normal process, and then whether it passed or not would be gated on the feature gate of any volume data source.
Got it. So basically, a lot more work to maintain this ugly backwards compatibility.
Yeah. And and then there's the question of, would that be a stopgap measure for, for temporarily, or would we just do that forever?
Is
And
there a
that
risk? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ben. Sorry.
I was gonna say that was the case I raised in the KEP itself. That the only alternative to doing this is basically say, look, we're gonna enshrine the existing behavior of, if you specify a core data type as a data source of a PVC, it will just get ignored. We could enshrine that behavior forever and say that's just how it's supposed to work. But it'll look especially weird once we don't do that for everything other than a core data type, right? Because anything that's not a core data type, we have to let through so that the volume populator logic can do its work. So we have to stop erasing those. And so there's already a small chance that if we make this change and someone's using a non-core data type and the feature gate is, well, I don't know how it would interact if the feature gate was set to alpha and we change the check. But yeah, there's this weird interaction where, if the feature gate doesn't allow you to do this, but the utility code is not dropping the field, then it gets into a weird state. And I think the other thing we discovered was that I'm trying to find the code again. No, that's not this one. Not this one. This one. In the code that implements this change, or the drop disabled fields, I think that we weren't able to perform feature gate checks here for some reason. Like there was not enough context in the in this utility code to do the feature gate checks. I actually I'm not 100% sure of that, so don't take my word for it. But there was a reason why it was easier to just drop all this code and start allowing bogus data sources to fail. So yeah, I want to, I don't know, I don't want to break anybody, but I don't know.
Is there a chance that this causes like the user confusion around core data type versus non-core data type, difference in behavior is a risk, and also that should be added to the conversation? Like the difference in behavior, is that not also a risk that that like should be weighted against the breaking backwards compatibility change?
Yeah, so we talked about, should we just allow core data types the same as everything else? And the issue with that was, we know we will never allow a data populator for one of the core data types, because like such a data populator would have to be sort of owned by the community, and all of the implementations of the data populators are supposed to be out of tree. So all the object types they're supposed to operate on are by definition out of tree objects. And we also had the discussion about, if you wanted to implement a populator that somehow used a core data type in its computation of the contents of the new volume, you could invent a new CRD that pointed to that core data type and achieve that. So we're not preventing anyone from like making a pod populator. We're just saying, if that's what you want, you have to wrap the pod in another CRD before you create the PVC that points to that data source, so that somebody else could make a different one that also was a pod related data source but did something different, right? So it has to be, we need a level of indirection, and by making that level of indirection, we're automatically saying you're out of the core by that point. So any core data type, it just doesn't make sense, and the most rational thing to do is to throw an error. Everyone agrees that just dropping it was always the wrong thing to do. And now we have to stop dropping it for everything that we intend to allow, which is everything that's not core. And it's just a question of the core ones. And so we're stuck, and Tim doesn't feel like he's got my reading of his comments is that he doesn't feel like unilaterally approving this. And so he's looking for someone to either support or argue with him. And I thought, Saad, if you wanted to throw your 2 cents in here with regard to this specific issue, or if you have a way of pulling in Jordan, I don't.
Yeah,
know
I just
Jordan
posted a
personally.
comment and to throw in my support. And for Jordan, yeah, I can ping him offline, or if you want to send an email, that I think should be sufficient as well.
Okay, I don't think I have his email address.
Oh, okay. I'll start a thread with you and him on there.
Okay. Yeah, because we just need to get this one approved, and the other, the actual PRs for the implementation are ready to go, and that's the deadline we're facing this week. So that's what I'm prioritizing. So yeah, thanks, Saad. And if anyone else wants to put in comments, you're welcome to. I really would like to get to an approve from Tim on this cap. I wanted to mention there is one other tiny change that they got requested on my other cap. Open link. This one I just had to, because we merged the volume populators cap last cycle, and we didn't do the implementation. It has the wrong version on it, so this PR bumps the version from 121 to 122. So I need approvals on this. This is like you can just see here, just bumps the version from 121 to 122 on the existing cap. I think this also needs to be approved by the enhancements freeze.
Are you done with the PRR? The
Yeah.
production readiness done? Okay.
Yeah. So sorry, I'm losing. Here it is. Yeah, David approved it
Okay.
right here.
Okay.
I added the whole PRR section. I filled it all out. Most of the answers to the questions are not applicable or no, but I did answer all of the questions in the PRR little template. So David was happy with that. He approved it. So that's good to go. Yeah, we just got to get these 2 things merged. I have links here to both of the Kubernetes related PRs. I have rebased them and updated them for 122 just today. So they're merged. Well, assuming that the keps merge, we could merge these immediately if we wanted. But they're here for review. And if there's no questions or discussion about those, I want to go on to the outer tree stuff. That's lower priority. Everyone's cool with the in-tree stuff in the KEP?
Yep.
Going once. Okay. So yeah, I've been reading through the docs about how to create proud jobs, and it's seems pretty involved. I think that the best thing would be to have a sample to follow. So what I was going to ask is Xing, if you I don't know if you did any of the work related to the snapshotter, setting up proud jobs for it, or if you had help, or if someone else here knows who did the work for like other CSI sidecars. But I'd like to pick your relatively simple one and just go back in history and see how the proud jobs were added. So if I have a sample I can copy.
Maybe if you take a look of the volume house repo, that's newer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see.
Did you do that work yourself, Xing? Or like, is there an expert who does this work for most of the projects?
I might did something.
But like, Xing, if I go to the test infra repo and look for PRs that you pushed, will I find any?
Okay.
Or do you file issues and then they create the PRs? Like I'm just trying to understand the the process. So
yeah,
I know.
I
like,
think Cozy also has a few. If you go
proud
there
jobs.
and look.
But where do you
Yeah,
look?
I think
do you
the
look in
the
Cozy
process
repos?
would be, yeah, you have to go into that repo. You have to create your own PRs. No one's going to do it for you. And so if you look at one of the existing projects, just kind of follow their model, and it should work. And if you need help, I think I would recommend reaching out to Michelle. She's done this a lot for a lot of the CSI repos.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I was able to find copies of individual files for setting this up, but like I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. So like I was hoping I could just follow like a whole chain of PRs to get one of these set up. Maybe I'm just gonna have to do it by trial and error. But yeah, I was going through the proud jobs and realizing like stuff seems to be spread out in multiple directories, or at least that's what it looked like to me. Maybe that's not what's going on. Okay, so you think Michelle knows more about this than anyone else, at least within the CSI
Yeah,
team?
from the CSI side of things, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll look for PRs that she's pushed and talk to her when I get stuck, and that'll be helpful. Because yeah, that is, as soon as we get the KEPs done, I don't think there's, I mean, other than responding to review feedback on the Kubernetes related PRs, it's just the out of tree stuff that needs a lot of work to add tests, to add the proud jobs, to get the releases out. And I'm also remembering that we did say we were going to add some metrics, and that code is not implemented yet. So the metrics were mentioned in the KEPs, so that we need these new controllers to be generating metrics. So that's extra code I have to write as well. That's lower on my priority list after getting the alpha release out. So okay. Well, thank you for the pointer towards Michelle here. I'm just going to put her name here. Okay. Anything else for today? Any other questions, comments, concerns? I'll look for that thread with Jordan Saad. Thank you for starting it. And I'll state my case yet again. I feel like I keep making the same argument and we keep losing context, but hopefully we'll get over the finish line this time.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. That's it for me. No one else has anything. We're done 40 minutes early.
I just there's this link. I think it's actually Michelle submitted this PR that added jobs for a few new repos. Maybe you can start with this one, then you can ask her questions.
Okay. What just happened? Oh.
Like for Warden House, she only added one job for unit test. So I think that might be a good one for you to get started with.
Okay. Thank you. All right. And I think we're done.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right, take care.